Good morning. We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree? Yes. You're knowing what you are wanting. It changes. Eternally evolving. You are enjoying the evolution of your desire. You like that feeling of a fresh new awareness, a new desire coming into your consciousness, that feeling of adventure and wonder, and delight with a new idea? Yes? Not so much? If the new idea or desire breathes life into you, then we suspect that you have reconnected with your inner knowing. But if the new desire tortures you a little, antagonizes you, if when you have a desire that isn't fulfilled, you feel uncomfortable in its not yet manifestation, then you still have not remembered that you are leading edge creators and that you will never get it done, that there will always be a fresh new desire. When you realize that you are leading edge creators and that the new desire that is born within you is literally what summons life to you, then you no longer feel frustration about what is not yet manifested. Instead, you feel appreciation for the life-giving desire that still summons through you. But we understand how, when you have not consciously addressed the subject of resistance within your own vibration, how new desires could sometimes not feel so good. Because when you really want something and you cannot for the life of you figure out how to bring it about, if you've got something that is plaguing you, something that you would dearly love to get rid of and just cannot seem to rid yourself of, we understand how you might be out of balance with the idea of desire, so much so that you might even begin to condemn it, begin to say that desire is inappropriate. Which is odd, since the entire universe is based upon this attraction-based effect where desire is born and it has the summoning capability that literally summon life force forward, which keeps us all moving forward. It is so much more comfortable when you get in sync with the laws of the universe. It doesn't work too well when you jump off the cliff determined to defy gravity. And it doesn't work too well when you go against the stream or flow of source. That's what resistance is. Resistance is not going with the flow of your own well-being. Most clear statement we've ever made. Resistance is not going with the flow of your own natural well-being. Well-being flows. And when you're in alignment with it, you feel wonderful. And when you are not in alignment with it, you don't feel so good. So anger is you not going with the flow of well-being. Frustration is you not going with the flow of well-being. Fear is you not going with the flow of well-being. So you say, well, how can I stand in this condition, knowing what I know and observing what I observe, and not feel these negative emotions? And we say, you have to practice. You have to decide that you're going to be in charge of how you vibrate. You're going to be in charge of how you feel. You're not going to be buffeted about like a cork on a raging sea. You're going to practice your vibration so that you can determine how you vibrate, how you flow, how you attract. Through time, as you've been interacting with one another, as you've been responding to the circumstances that surround you, you have developed some vibrational patterns, and many of them serve you. Many of your vibrational patterns are vibrational patterns of positive expectation. We look at those of you who are in this environment, and we notice how magnificently you expect. Your standard of living is superb. You expect life to go well to a certain extent. And what we're wanting to assist you in doing is expecting it to go well in all regards. We want you to get so good at thinking thoughts deliberately at setting your own tone, that you get to decide what your dominant vibration is about the subjects that are important to you, rather than having let something when you were 3 set the tone and you just keep doing it, or something that mass consciousness is thinking about set the tone. We want you to get so good at choosing what your dominant vibration is that under all conditions you offer it. That's a key word that we are offering you here, dominant vibration. Because you all have dominant vibrations relative to major subjects in your experience. And some of your dominant vibrations are serving you, and some of your dominant vibrations are not serving you. For example, when you think about the subject of dollars or financial abundance, do you feel adventurous and eager and unlimited? Or do you feel worried and uncertain and limited? You know. Some of you may say, well, I feel some of all of that. And we say, yes, you do, but you know which is dominant. You can tell which way that leans, you know. When you think about your major relationship, the most significant relationship, the one that you think about the most or the one you interact with the most, does that relationship feel fun and life-giving? Or does it feel like struggle and hard work? You know. When you think about your physical body, does it feel flexible and strong and sure-footed? Or do you feel tentative and uncertain? You know. Relative to every subject that you ponder, and especially those major subjects, you have little by little by little by little by little developed vibrational patterns. You could call them beliefs. We don't want to give them too much weight. Habits of thought that you keep thinking. And the reason you keep thinking them is because you haven't decided to think otherwise. And so the thought that you think, which attracts to it, so you think it some more, which attracts to it, so you think it some more, which attracts to it, so you think it some more. In other words, when you have an expectation, you've got a dominant thought going on, and law of attraction is going to deliver that to you again and again and again. And you say, the reason that I believe this is because it is true. And we say, the reason that you believe it is because you practice the thought, because all that a belief is a thought that you keep practicing. And so you say, but the reason I believe it is because it is true. And we say, but why is it true? It is because you think it. It's because somewhere you got the thought, you held the thought, you let it become dominant in your vibration, law of attraction responded to that vibration and made it evidential in your experience. And so you say, it's true. And what we are wanting you to come to realize is you can make well-being true, or you can make not well-being true. Cancer is true. It's just not usually wanted. Violence is true. It's just not usually wanted. And we want you to begin to realize that facing the facts because they are true only perpetuates the truth you would not choose for yourself. So when you begin to think about the dominant thoughts that you have, and more importantly, you begin to think about choosing thoughts that you want to make dominant, we have a process for you that will work if you will work it. And we call it the process of virtual reality. You have played this game under other titles. We've called it creative visualization. We've called it using your imagination. Virtual reality is a game where, like a director of a movie, you set the scene. You know what you want your audience to feel, and so you set them up for it. You make it winter or you make it summer. You put it in the mountains or you put it on the ocean or you put it on the beach. You put it outdoors or you put it indoors. You make it daytime, you make it nighttime. In other words, you set the scene. It has one intent only, and that is the intent of your practicing a vibration with the singular purpose of making it a dominant vibration. Sometimes people will use visualization to try to fix something that is broken. And we want you to use virtual reality for one reason only, to make the vibration that you choose dominant. Let's say that your nation is really worried about something. And it's hard for you not to give it thought because when you turn on the television, it is there. You hear others talking about it. Your teachers are talking about it in the classrooms of your children. People are having discussions about it all around you. But when you think about it, you know it's not a thought you want to make dominant within you because you feel fear when it crosses your mind, or anger, or frustration, or worry. So you say, okay, I will choose another thought and make it dominant. The feeling is I need to deactivate the thought that already is dominant. But the trouble with that is when you decide that you're going to deactivate a thought, you don't deactivate it, you activate it. When you say, I'm not going to think about that, you're thinking about that you're not going to think about. Even when you say, I don't want to be sick, I'm going to think about wellness. When you approach the subject of your physical body, when your dominant thought about it has been sickness, even though you try to do a virtual reality about wellness, you usually activate the thought of illness because that's the dominant thought relative to that subject. You see how it works? So there's a temptation when you apply these processes to say, oh, Abraham is giving me a process where I can fix this thing that's broken, and all it does is activate the thing that's broken. So without meaning to, you just practice making the dominant thought that isn't serving you remain dominant. This process of virtual reality will change that for you if you will understand this one very important thing. The process of virtual reality is where you practice your dominant thought. It's where you practice the thought that you want to be dominant until it is dominant. Virtual reality is a place where you practice the thought that you want to be dominant and make it dominant. Virtual reality is the place where you practice the thought that you want to be dominant and you make it dominant. And the reason that we're repeating this into the ridiculous is because at first you're not going to want to do that. Even Esther, as she's been practicing this for a few weeks now, finds herself sometimes right in the middle of a delicious virtual reality, and all of a sudden she realizes she's trying to reform someone, either herself or someone else. In other words, she'll be going along swimmingly, doing very, very well, and then she'll stumble into something, and without even meaning to, she'll activate something that is broken, so to speak. So, virtual reality really works best if it's short. Get in, feel good, get out. Get in, feel good, get out. So, you set the scene. What time of year is it? What time of day is it? Where is it? Outside, inside? You get to choose. There is no right and wrong in that. What you're reaching for are good feeling moments. You know those moments when your heart is just singing so strong and you just think, I wish I could stay here forever? Does that usually happen to you when you're outdoors or indoors? If it's more often outdoors, then pick a scene that's outside. If it's more often indoors, then pick a scene that's indoors. Esther, quite often in her virtual reality, she's walking into a new place that is very beautiful. And often it's indoors. Sometimes she finds herself discovering a magnificent vista, and that moment of exhilaration is there. That's what you're reaching for. So you set the place and the time of year and the time of day, and then you talk to yourself about how it smells and looks and feels. You're sort of bringing yourself along little by little into this higher, better, good feeling place. And then you decide who else is with you. Sometimes in the beginning, it's better to be alone, but not always. You get to decide that. Who else is there? And what's their mood? And of course, you get to choose it. So don't bring someone who's in a bad mood and then work them into a good mood. Bring good mood people. And then exchange a few words and off you go. Now what will happen is, as you do this for 30 seconds, you set a tone in your vibration. Does it immediately become your dominant tone or your dominant vibration? No. But it begins to dilute what is. So then you do it again, and 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 you don't do it because there's something broken that you want to fix. Because if you do it because there's something broken that you want to fix, you just practice the one that's already dominant. This is only to feel good, only to feel good. And with a few weeks of dabbling at this, you will readjust what is dominant within your vibration. You see, the creative process is 3 steps. The first step is you have to identify what is wanted, and you can't help but do that. Preferences are born within you all day, every day. Contrast helps you to conclude. When you know what you don't want, what you do want shoots out of you like a rocket. Whenever you know what you do not want, clarity about what you do want comes forth in very vivid terms. So step 1 is happening all over the place. Step 2 is not your work. Source energy will answer. Step 2 is the answering of what is being asked, and that is not your work. Step 3 is your work. You must be in the receiving mode. You must be a vibrational match. You must be vibrationally equivalent. You must not be vibrationally different. You must not be vibrationally resistant. You must be vibrationally harmonious with that which you are asking for. That's what being in the receiving mode is. You got to line up